thank you for taking time out with PSOA. Sean Johnston here from Omaha, Nebraska, bringing you college baseball umpire training tape number 2, and we're really going to focus on game management, specifically at the college level, but you can put some of these game management tools at all levels of baseball. But really, this is the expectations and what we're expecting at the college level. We're going to have plays from one series, from one crew. The first one is going to be hit by pitch. Appendix E, Section C, number 11. So as we get to the rule book, getting the call right. Number 11. Hit by pitch situations, the crew can get together without the use of video replay. So we're going to show you the play, but as you're preparing for games this week, talk in your pregame. How are we going to handle a hit by pitch situation, either called or not called? Next one, bat flip. Rule 515D1. Is it an automatic ejection? Can we warn? Let's take a look at the rule. Game personnel shall not use language or actions that will in any manner refer to or reflect negatively upon opposing players, coaches, umpires, or spectators. We have negative comments directed towards an opponent, bench jockeying, bat flips near or towards an opponent or an umpire. We're going to have 2 examples of this. One was a warning with no reaction from the opponent. The other one was an ejection because we did have an opponent reacting to the bat toss. So umpires, no, a bat toss isn't an automatic ejection. However, if we have a reaction by the opponent and they see that bat toss, to prevent escalation of unsporting behavior and retaliation, we can have an ejection without a warning. Pitch clock, Appendix F, Section 2, number 9. This pitch clock is for the batter and pitcher. Number 9, batters are expected to enter the batter's box promptly prior to the first pitch of an at-bat and shall remain in the vicinity of the batter's box. Batter should not delay entry to gain an undue advantage. If the batter does not enter the box and become alert to the pitcher and ready to hit with 8 or more seconds remaining, a strike shall be awarded. So batters, sometimes this comes up where you think it's ball 4 and you throw the bat. You are away from the vicinity of the batter's box, and if you're not in the batter's box looking up, you are going to be charged a strike. Wait until the umpire calls ball 4. Batters coming up to begin a half inning. Take care of your equipment during that 120, 150 warm-up period that the pitcher gets. You have to be in that batter's box. Equipment legal, eyes up, ready. If you're not, the umpires, by rule, need to adjudicate a strike on the batter. Warning structures. The CCA manual, page number 2, talking about the unsporting actions. All right, so when we get into the CCA manual, it talks about allowing head coaches for an explanation. Then if they turn it into an argument, warn the coach. If you remain on the field arguing this judgment call, you're at risk ejecting yourself. If they eject themselves and continue, we have to follow the CCA manual, give another warning about the 2-game suspension. And then the last is a use of signals to communicate. Offensive trips, defensive trips. Do not hide these. Look at the press box, wave your hand, put the number of trips they have used, and point to the dugout. Substitutes. Do not hide this. Look at the press box, wave your hand, point to the player or position where there's a sub. Action clock start. Base umpires, raise your arm so people know when the clock started. And then when we are nearing the end, umpire keeping track of the clock, raise your hand at 30 seconds. Hold your arm out wide at 15 seconds. And home plate umpires work with both offense and defensive players to get them in the box, engaged, and ready to pitch so we don't have to enforce any balls or strikes. Now let's take a look at plays from this previous weekend of a crew working an entire series together and developing from game 1 to game 4 to handle these tough game management situations. The first game management we're going to take a look at here is a hit by pitch judgment. So remember, umpires, we got nothing until we call something. The first thing that was called was an out at first base. Now, the batter was saying that he got hit by the pitch. We, as an umpire, can take a look at the hand to see if there are laces, to see if there's swelling, to see any proof that the baseball hit the batter. Now the coach is allowed an explanation. So when the coach comes to the home plate dirt circle, to the calling umpire, this is not arguing. This is the head coach being allowed to get the explanation. First base coach cannot leave his position. So base umpires, you want to keep him in the coach's box. Now, learning point here. This is the learning point. So coach got the explanation, asked if the crew can get together to discuss. And we know under the appendix getting the call right, a hit by pitch situation, a crew can get together to share information. But the home plate umpire should have told the coach to either go to the dugout or to his coaching box. Then we would get together. And umpires, you want to wait to get together until that coach goes to that spot. And the reason for it is whatever the umpire crew comes out of this, that coach now cannot leave this position a second time. If they do, now you have to warn coach. If you continue to argue this judgment call, you're at risk of ejecting yourself. Okay, so good job by the crew. We're not judging was it hit by pitch, was it not hit by pitch, but good job of, number 1, keeping the ball live. It's nothing until we call it something. 2, giving the coach an explanation. 3, getting together as a crew, because that's a rule we can get together, but we need to get the coach to the position and not allow him to come back out a second time without that warning. Another thing, umpire walked away from the coach, and the coach then walked away from the umpire. That is what we were looking for. The next game management situation we're going to talk about is a bat toss. It is illegal for the batter to toss the bat above the head, high in the air, down the line towards the opponent. So that is an illegal bat toss. This should have been an ejection by the batter runner, and he will be ejected after he legally runs the bases. The hardest thing to understand, though, at this level of baseball, is who's responsible. How do we break the habit of watching the ball? Let's go back and take a look at it one more time. So here comes the pitch. All right, so we have a 3-person crew here right now. We talk about the wedge. So the base umpire in this 3-person crew. In a 2-person crew, the base umpire has the inside cone. So as a home plate umpire, we have to have the discipline. Trust the umpire who has the cone or inside wedge to rule on catch, no catch, home run, or ground rule double. In a 2-person crew, home plate umpire at this time, you have to pick up the batter. In a 3-person crew, first base umpire, at this time you got to have the discipline to pick up the batter. And if we don't have the discipline, we don't have the mechanics, we have all 3 umpires looking at the ball, we're going to miss this unsporting behavior, bat toss by the batter. All right, so now, give you a little bit more insight. Later on in the video, we're going to see another example of a bat toss in the same series where this crew got together, watched the game together and we learned what are we going to do differently so we don't miss this again. So that is an illegal bat toss, which is an automatic ejection after the batter runner runs the bases, and after he touches home plate, we're going to eject the batter. Game management situation 3, do not umpire the count. Umpire the pitch. We have a 3-0 count, 2 outs, nobody on base. There are no automatic strikes in college baseball. We need to stay locked in, and we need to have the same strike zone, whether it's 0-0, 3-0, 2-2, 3-2. All right, so now we have action clock, pitch clock. The batter thought it was ball 4, takes off. We need to adhere to the pitch clock. All right, so yes, we have to have a feel for the game. It is the batter's responsibility to wait until the umpire says ball 4 before he goes down the line. If he tosses the bat on strike 1, we have to start that action clock exactly the same way when that pitcher gets the ball. So same crew, same series. After watching video, this is the second example of the bat toss. So we have a home run, and the first base umpire in this moment is responsible for home run, fair foul, catch no catch. Home plate umpire and base umpire has learned from the previous experience to watch the batter. And as we play this, we have another bat toss towards the opponent's dugout. We have the catcher also recognizing and asking, we get to toss the bats. Coaches and players watching this, the learning point here from a player standpoint, you want to release the bat the same way as if you were going to have a ground ball or double to right center field. All right, when you put the judgment in the umpire's hands, according to the NCAA, they want to limit and end unsporting behavior. If we have a bat toss towards the opponent, we have a reaction by the opponent. We, as an umpiring crew, as a representative of the NCAA rule set, has to eject the batter who bat tossed to prevent escalation. All right, so coach is going to come out with an explanation, and the umpire ejected in a calm, poised manner. So please use this training tape. Batters, drop the bat the same way if you were going to have a double. Umpires, have that discipline. Only the umpire watching responsible for the catch, no catch. Watch the ball. The other umpires watch the batter. Next situation, 3-person rotation. With the North Star having 3 umpires on games this year for conference, clean base hit to the outfield, base umpire to third base. It's not if they come, it's automatic. And then we have an umpire right on top of it at second base, and we have the next umpire at home plate. All right, so if we watch this a couple times and put yourself in each umpire's spot and understand why the mechanic is the way it is. We always have an umpire ahead of the play. Runner on first base, clean base hit to the outfield. It's an automatic rotation in 3-person, so we always have an umpire ahead of the play. Let's take a look at it a couple more times from each position. So this time, home plate umpire. Clean base hit. I got third. He's going. He's not stopping. He is going to get there and be on the outside part of the field seeing the play at third base. All right. You want to stay in foul territory in 3-person. You don't have to worry about the overthrow. You don't have to worry about staying on the inside and coming back home. All you have to worry about is safe out at third base. So now let's take a look at the first base umpire. First base umpire is reading it down. He's reading R1. Once R1 commits to third base, first base umpire, you should be running parallel with R1 going to third, umpire 1 coming home. All right, so once R1 commits, U1 commits home. Now let's take a look at U3. Umpire 3 in the middle is going to see the base hit down, see the touch at second. He is now reading the runner at first base. If the runner at first base stays at first, he's going to edge towards first. This runner went towards second. He went to second. All right, so we have 3 umpires, all responsible for 1 runner, and those umpires are ahead of the play to officiate that safe out at each base. Good job by the umpiring crew, 3-person mechanics. This next situation here is going to be a balk call, but then managing the explanation of the balk, and then trying to prevent an ejection, and then trying to prevent a 2-game suspension with the head coach. So let's go back to the balk first, and then we'll talk about handling situation after the judgment call. So the judgment here by the umpires is the pitcher did not step directly towards first base. He gained distance more towards home than first base. A balk was called. Fielder at first base caught the ball. Time, second base. As we stated before, a head coach can come out to the 45-foot line for an explanation. This is not arguing. This is just getting an explanation. Explanation was given. The calling umpire then walks away. When the coach chooses to remain on the field, this is where the argument starts. This is where the calling umpire has to now warn the coach. Coach, if you continue arguing this judgment call, you're at risk of ejecting yourself. Now that coach gets to make the decision. He remains while making comments. He has ejected himself. This is the learning point of this situation. Ejecting umpire, walk away. The next nearest umpire, you want to come in and then intervene with this head coach and the ejecting umpire. If the coach remains on the field, we now need to warn him. If he continues to argue, he's at risk of serving a 2-game suspension. We would rather that come from another umpire, not the same umpire that ejected the head coach. So good job on the balk call, coming towards home, not stepping directly to first base. Good job once the first baseman caught the ball, awarding the balk and sending the runner to second base. Do not allow a rundown. Good job giving the explanation, giving the warning, allowing the coach to eject himself, and giving the 2-game suspension warning to prevent the 2-game suspension warning for the head coach. And thank you to the head coach for leaving and not having to serve the 2-game suspension. This next situation we're going to be talking about is the action clock between innings, and an action clock for both offense and defense. So this half inning is now over, and the action clock is going to be started with a new pitcher coming in. You saw U3 raise his hand, which indicates the action clock has started for both teams. We know with the new pitcher coming in, he's given 150 seconds, so 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And we're going to fast forward it here of how we're going to communicate 30 seconds left to both teams, and both teams need to be ready. So now we have the third base umpire raising his hand, letting everybody know there is 30 seconds remaining before both teams need to be ready. We are going to be communicating to the batter. Come on up, get ready, come on up. And the batter is not responding right away. Remember, it is both teams that is responsible. All right, so we have a substitute batter is in the batter's box. We have 15 seconds left. This is being communicated to both teams. And the batter is not in the box ready to umpire. All right, or ready to bat. We cannot allow the batter to do this. Now we're going to talk about the judgment of allowing the pitcher to deliver that pitch. Let's go back and learn from this situation of how it could have been handled better. So far, so good. We're telling the batter to get ready to bat. And the batter slowly gets ready with his uniform completely intact. Substitution is reported. Now, at this point, the home plate umpire probably should have awarded a strike on the batter. He intentionally changed his equipment. Now, once that batter was given a strike, now let's reset everything with an 0-1 count. This pitch should never have been able to be delivered. The batter's eyes were not up and looking at the pitcher. Call time, pitch clock violation, award a strike, 0-1 count, play ball. Coaches and players watching this training tape, if you're on deck and you see that base umpire raise their hand, just start walking towards home plate so it is never on you that we are not ready to play within that action clock time frame. Thank you for taking time out this week to watch this college baseball training tape on managing game situations at the college level. I'm very happy to report in the first 3 weeks of observations, we are handling the strike zone very well. We are handling fair, foul, safe outs really well. Now we have to continue to build on managing the game of college baseball even better. So take this training tape and talk about it in your pregames. How are you going to handle a hit-by-pitch situation that a team does not agree with the judgment? How are we going to communicate and make sure we have coaches in the right spot when we communicate? How are we going to have the discipline to see what the batter does with the bat after a great hit? How are we going to manage the pitch clock, not only between batters and in between pitches, but in between innings? Let's use our voice, let's use our mechanics to prevent people getting frustrated. And then talk about what are we going to do to give head coaches explanations, to let them know when they're arguing and warn them if they continue, they're going to eject themselves and prevent the 2-game suspension. Have pre-games. Don't be surprised. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Let's prepare how to manage tough situations in the most professional way within the rule book. Until next week, umpires, remember, you're only as good as your last call.